talk about how I have this idea to start this collection or this line or just this embracing fashion kind of industry in a sense. For me, clothing was always really difficult. Growing up, everything that fit me properly had sparkles, rainbows, butterflies, things like Dora, things like child patches, and it just looks like a unicorn just barfed on everything, in my opinion. And for me, being older and being in a smaller set body, my maturity mentally was way past my physical growth maturity. And it was really difficult getting clothing that matched me, especially once I started maturing physically during my puberty. That was extremely complicated because things started to not fit. They would fit in my calf area or my ankle area, but not my hip area. They would fit in my stomach area or my arm area, but not my chest area. And things just got really complicated, and I started trying to figure out things that would work for me, and I ended up not being able to fit into slim jeans, but other jeans were too big for me, and then the length was unbelievably wrong. It was either too long or it was either too short, and it made life really complicated in the sense I was never comfortable in my own skin. I think because humans need clothing to keep themselves warm, and we've made it such a personality statement that having that kind of pressure on you to either conform and dress like everyone else or stand out and accept yourself, but not being able to because I was in an area where I couldn't express myself the way I wanted to. I had to wear clothes that were immature for me, and for me it made me feel like I was representing myself at a younger age than I was. I was presenting myself wrong. It provided a lot of confidence issues. It provided a lot of anger and sadness and overwhelming amount of just why can't I find anything that works? And fortunately for me, fashion did this whole take with younger kids and dressing them more mature. So I got a little lucky later in my high school kind of life, not very early, like 16-ish probably actually. And they started making mature clothing in the small sizes of like the larger sizes of kids and like the smallest sizes of like teenage women's. And for me, that made it a lot easier. Unfortunately, things still didn't fit properly, so I ended up starting with sewing straps, and I would just sew them like inward towards the shirt and then like upward to make the strap a strap again. And then I had to sew my undergarments because my hips were much smaller than a woman's, but at the same time, I couldn't wear children's garments because my butt and my chest grew too much for that, and they were too small for women, so that was really complicated, and I'm still kind of learning undergarments, especially like bras and stuff. Bras are extremely complicated, especially when you include padding, so I'm still learning about doing that, and I want to learn how to kind of make that comfortable for people, because I do think like my chest size itself isn't uncommon. Now, the band size, yeah, that's probably a little uncommon, but the actual size of my chest, it's actually a size, but it's just not a size that is acknowledged, really. You know, double A is kind of skipped, and it's just gone to A, and it's kind of like, there's itty-bitty titty girls here, hey, we here, and like, I know there's little boobs websites, but they don't work for me either, because the bands don't fit. So it was just really complicated growing up, and when I turned 16 and I started sewing things myself and I made my own shirt for the first time, I wanted that ability for things to just be able to fit me straight off kind of like the machine or the rack or whatever, just like everyone else. And I know I'm not the only person that feels like this. And I know for a fact that not within the dwarfism community, but just like shorter human beings, like below average or on the lower scale of average height, there is a gap in the fashion industry. There is a huge gap because for fashion, everything is abstract. Even the models, they're skewed to be a little different, and it's supposed to catch your eye. That's the magic of runways and fashion. And if you do any history on fashion, like, there's a lot of people that want different, want something that's not what you're going to see when you walk down the street, because it's a runway show, it's abstract, it's extra. And for me, I've always been like, yeah, but why can't it fit everyone? Why is it just got to fit one kind of person? So I wanted ultimately to create a line that if anyone and everyone who wants to wear a piece I make has the capability of doing so. Now, yes, they might have to buy a specific version of that piece, but I want that ability for no matter what you look like, no matter what you've gone through, no matter what your physical disability or your physical journey is, that it's somewhat accepting to your body in some way. I also wanted to make disability accessories to make those more accepting, and for the people that have to go around every day with these extra accessories to feel confident in them. You know, I don't ever want to see someone be like, I have a feeding tube, and not be happy because they have a feeding tube. You know, I was so unhappy my entire life for being short, and it didn't get me anywhere. So I don't want that for anyone else. And if I can help someone, then that's what I want to do. But right now, we are focusing on making an outfit for the smaller stature community. So like 5'4" to probably, I think, 3'8". I think my size could probably get to 3'8". But I'm hoping that throughout that journey, we can figure out the proper proportions, height-wise and width-wise, to fill this gap, but also have the chance to modify the standards to fit perfectly, or in some sense enough that each individual person feels confident in themselves. And I know that's a lot, and it's a lot of pressure, but, you know, even if it takes me 3 decades, I think it's necessary. You know, I may get the versions of the outfits first in my size, and the other sizes may be a struggle, and it may be a trial and error situation. But I think it'll be worth it in the end. I think it's going to be a lot of stress, and it's going to make me cry a lot, and I'm not going to feel like I'm doing a well enough job quick enough, because everyone's kind of like demand now situations, and it's not a demand now situation. This is going to take months. It's going to take years, especially to get perfect. And I know I have that patience, but I know the rest of the world doesn't, and that's going to stress me out, because I don't want this to go out before it's worthy. And I don't want to push something that's not worthy because of pressures. So I'm hoping overall that I can stick to my message. I can get to my end goal of making an all-inclusive kind of alteration line in some sense, even if it's only online. But I'm hoping at the same time I can do it in a timely manner, because I do think the sooner it gets out there, the better for everyone. The more I'll learn, the more everyone will hopefully bring awareness to the situation. And, you know, if at the end of the day I flop and fail, hopefully it'll influence someone to fill that gap. Because it's not just inclusive of the people in dwarfism. It's inclusive of the people in the lower end of the average height scale. And it can be inclusive of LGBTQ members. I'm hoping to include transgender and drag queen comfortability. And, I already mentioned that I want to do disability comfortability. And I want everyone, no matter what they go through, no matter how difficult it is in the clothing industry for them, to be able to come to my line or collection or whatever it is eventually and be like, this works for me. I feel confident in it. I feel comfortable. I feel myself. And that'll make it worth it. Even if it fails and it inspires someone else to do it and they're successful, it'll make it worth it. But yeah, so that's kind of my message with the fashion line collection, or whatever you want to call it, because it's, up in the air, because it's just in my head right now. But I'm hoping that we can get a lot done, and, we can do it for the people.